When one thinks of the Visayan warrior, they usually think of naked, brutish barbarians who use sticks in order to fight their enemies. Not only is this wrong, but it is also insulting and demeaning to the history of the fact. Records from the Spanish showed that they are sophisticated members of society. They were landowners, businessmen, and above all, professional soldiers. Covered in tattoos, they take it as a mark of their ranks and achievements. But one thing is still missing, and that is gold. This is the Timawa, the Visayan equivalent of knights in European society. The Visayan equivalent of knights in European society had rights and responsibilities that their datus expected them to take. First of which was military service, in which they followed the datu to the raids conducted on a seasonal basis. Second was that of defending the land. They were expected to act as the defenders of the weak and the innocent, and to protect the riches of the land. Next were the rights to own land to grow food, and uripons to work it. There will be a separate video regarding uripons and their status as the slaves. The right to borrow and lend money was one of the most important things that a Timawa has, as being able to borrow money ensures that they will have access to funds that will maintain their estates. In a society where tattoos are marks for one's ranks, the right to tattoo for rank and achievement was something that separated them from the lower classes and distinctly marked them as the third nobility after the Tumao and the Datu. And finally, as the lowest form of nobility, they have the right to make business, be it from the production of rice wine known as tuba, to the selling of fruits and vegetables of the highest quality, and even to being the transporter of silk from faraway lands. Focusing on the warrior aspect of the Timawa, one of the questions you may ask is, what weapons do they use? Like the knights of Europe, they were known to use offensive weapons such as swords, spears, and daggers. Shields came in many different sizes, some round, some with the shape of an hourglass, and some even the shape of a door. In this video, we will focus on the offensive weapons, the two main swords that was prevalent at the time, the kampilan and the kalis. The kampilan is differentiated from other swords by the presence of a spikelet at the end of it. Warriors who were good in their prowess with it often attached the hairs of the slain enemies to its pommel. The Filipino national hero, Lapu-Lapu, was known to use the kampilan in the Battle of Mactan in 1521 against the forces of Magellan, the Portuguese explorer. The kalis is similar to that of the kris, with a wavy blade. The main difference, though, is that while the latter is a dagger, the kalis is a full double-edged sword with a straight or a slightly curved hilt, making it ideal as a slashing weapon as opposed to the stabbing pistol grip of the kris. The reasoning for the curvy blade is that it has a better cutting force due to the straight blades being prone to getting stuck in the bones of their enemies. Moving on from their swords, how did they rank Timawas? Timawas earned their ranks based on the amount of tattoos and the placement of the tattoos that they have. Warriors start out from the legs and their chest until they are full. These tattoos can range from the patterns of snakes, or crocodiles to flowers that was once common throughout the islands of the Philippines. But alas, the designs for these tattoos have been lost to time, either due to the Spanish making the art of tattooing as a taboo, or the general stigma associated with tattooed people in Christianity. Continuing on to their process of tattooing, they then proceed to tattoo the abdomen, arms, hands, and even their necks, pushing through the pain of the tattoo process, with some even dying from infection because of it. Only the best of the best warriors get to tattoo their backs, and eventually their face. In a book by William Henry Scott, people who had tattoos on their faces were the equivalent of the greatest Spartan warriors. But once again, we are forgetting something, and that is their gold. Unlike in modern society, in which the most common form of wealth is land, in pre-colonial Philippine society, wealth wasn't measured on how much land you had, but rather how much gold you have in your person, and how much uripons you owned. Warriors often wore the gold as armbands, rings, earrings, and even as dental jewelry. The amount of uripons you had was also indicative of your success as a warrior and your riches as a businessman. A brief introduction for uripons was that they were captives taken from the seasonal raids and were the lowest class in society. Yet they couldn't be accurately defined as a slave. In any case, the more uripon you had meant that you had more workers to work the land, leading to more profits. Respect was most likely measured in this order: tattoos, gold, and then uripons. An example would go: a rich man with no tattoos would still rank lower than a poor man with tattoos.